Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, I hope you're well. In a small room, there is a dark dungeon with bloodstains, human flesh, and waste on the walls. The only fresh air comes from a small opening. The only company is cockroaches and mice. The inmates are chained by their necks, hands, and feet. The guards give them stale food only once every 5 to 10 days. Eventually, the guards close the small opening, and the inmate dies slowly from suffocation and the pain from the abuse and torture they have endured for months. This is not a horror movie plot but real life for every inmate in the notorious Syria prison, also known as the human slaughterhouse. Bashar al-Assad was forced to leave Syria as Syrian rebels, led by the Islamist organization HTS, took control of city after city on the way to Damascus. Along with seizing the country, HTS also unlocked several infamous prisons where over 100,000 people vanished during the nearly 14-year civil war. What they found exposed the cruelty the inmates faced for years. The rebels found a huge 5-story underground structure that housed the last Assad regime detainees who were struggling to breathe. As soon as Sayda prison was opened, rebels and locals wandered around the complex, going from cell to cell, looking for any hint of their friends and family. The concrete floors of the solitary confinement cells were covered in dirt and water. Each cell had a single metal food bowl. There were feces all around. This is where the detainees used to eat and sleep with blood and human waste all over the small room. Fearing that prisoners were going hungry and suffocating from a lack of oxygen, they rushed to find the secret basement section, which they called the Red Wing. The director of Syria's civil defense group, the White Helmets, claimed on Monday that the prison was hell for the inmates. Sayda doesn't look like a prison, it is a human slaughterhouse where people are being killed and tortured. The director said that the compound executed people daily and that rescuers found corpses in ovens in the corner. Locals spotted a shaky, shaven-headed guy who had been so brutally tortured that he had lost his memory and found it difficult to speak. According to his family, he was a medical student at the age of 20 when he disappeared 13 years ago.
It appears that the prison was built to create a sense of dislocation. A spiral staircase that looks infinite from ground level is at its center. The 3 wings of the facility are accessible through massive vault doors that extend beyond the metal bars around the staircase. The rebel fighters claimed that each wing specialized in specific kinds of torture. No windows provide access to the outside world. According to the rebels, the mortuary at a hospital in Damascus had around 40 tortured corpses transferred from this prison.
The director also said that a former detainee informed him that he was scheduled to be executed on the same day as his release. He stated that inmates who have been released are in very poor health. The prison primarily housed political prisoners who opposed al-Assad's authority. According to the White Helmets chief, 50 to 100 individuals were executed daily. An ex-inmate revealed that the female inmates were routinely raped, and when they became pregnant, they gave birth in that cramped cell where both the mother and their babies endured terrible conditions. According to a 2017 report by Amnesty International, this jail has been the site of murder, torture, enforced disappearance, and extermination since 2011 when the conflict in the country erupted. The rights organization determined that these actions constitute crimes against humanity. However, one must consider the irony in the situation. Bashar al-Assad, under whose direction the prison guards were operating, exceeded all bounds of brutality, showing a complete absence of humanity even towards infants and young children. He has now been granted asylum in Moscow on humanitarian grounds. On what basis is he currently residing with his family in an asylum in Moscow rather than spending time behind bars and facing charges of crimes against humanity on humanitarian principles? This is the justice system of the world we live in now. The inmates of this prison may have been set free, but the scars and wounds they endured and the torture they went through may never heal. Those who lost their loved ones in the executions held in these prisons will remain scarred for life. May Allah heal the wounded memories of the detainees and help them start a new life filled with joy. May Allah give martyrdom to those who lost their lives in these torture cells. Ameen.